Okay. So if everybody can go on mute as the normal, and as questions come up, you can put them in the chat. There'll be plenty of time for questions after the end, because Brittany had told me it's not going to take a long time to make it, and she is actually having a game today. You could win a free cooking class. So stay alert here and welcome. So while we're on that healthy gut theme for January, I will turn this over to Star Brittany, and she will entertain us.
All right, we'll get started. I'll just introduce myself for you guys that don't know, but I'm sure most of you guys know me. My name is Brittany Jaroudi. I help run Plant-Based Pittsburgh, and I've been whole food plant-based for almost 5 years now. I have a really awesome plant-based story. My life 5 years ago looks nothing like my life now. I was around close to 80 pounds heavier, was on 2 different blood pressure medicines, had a high CRP, had high cholesterol, and felt awful, and was able to reverse everything and get healthy and get off all medication and lose the weight pretty effortlessly. And now my passion is to share it with others. So we're going to get started tonight. We are doing the gut health, which I wanted to share my easy veggie lentil soup tonight with you guys. And tomorrow, when Sally sends out this recording, she'll send out the recipe, so you don't have to take notes. You'll get it tomorrow in your email. We're actually going to make this in the Instant Pot. If you do not have an Instant Pot, you can just get a large soup pot and heat everything up until there's going to be red lentils in this, until they've kind of dissipated and you can't see them in whole form anymore, and until the carrots and potatoes are soft. So you can cook this over, bring it to a boil, let it simmer for a while until the vegetables are soft, or you can do an Instant Pot like I'm going to do tonight. Either way, it's super easy. So I actually have my big 8-quart Instant Pot, and we're going to kind of pivot. If you were I had a class yesterday with PBMSG. I was like pivoting the camera. So we're gonna rotate together. I have my big 8-quart Instant Pot for this. You can use a 6-quart or an 8-quart. I would highly suggest not using the 3-quart for this. It's a little bit too much of a soup. You can cut this recipe in half and use a 3-quart, but for as the recipe is written, use a 6-quart or an 8-quart. This is really easy, so it's not going to take long. And I actually have a video for this on our YouTube channel. So if you want to see me do it again, besides this recording, you can type in easy lentil or easy veggie lentil soup. Since making this soup, the feedback has been that it's more like a stew than it is a soup. It's super thick. So keep that in mind. I should call it stew when I rename it, but we just enjoy this a lot during the winter months, and I like this because it's super easy to whip together. All right, I'm just gonna let someone in that's coming in now. All right, so on your Instant Pot, there's a saute mode, and if you're gonna do this on the stove, that's totally fine too. You just saute. We're just gonna saute with a little bit of the vegetable stock that we're using in the recipe. It's 6 cups of vegetable stock. You can just take a little bit out of that 6 cups. A tablespoon to 2 tablespoons is fine. You can eyeball it. And what we're going to do is we're going to saute a little bit of onion and garlic. And you're just going to do this until the onions are translucent. Now you can use any kind of onion you like. We generally only buy red onions. Sorry if you can hear my dog. My husband was supposed to be home today, but he had to go into the office. So he's usually on dog duty. So hopefully that's either him pulling in or I can go deal with him for a second. Hold on 1 second. If they keep getting noisy, once we get the soup started, I can bring them in here and show you guys the 2 cute puppies. So I'm just gonna move this around and saute them until the onions are translucent. If he keeps going, I'll let him out if too loud. I don't know if you guys can hear that in the mic. Is it annoying? Someone let me know in the chat. Can you really hear them bark?
It's okay.
Okay, well, while that's heating up, I'll go and kick him outside real quick. Hey.
Yes, we love dogs. Dogs are fine.
This is usually my husband's job whenever I'm filming, or like when I was doing Chef AJ. This is like what he was in the other room, keeping them quiet. All right, well, they're outside now. Okay, so we can keep going. So all you're gonna do is saute until it's translucent, and because this is the big one, it takes a couple minutes to heat up. After that, it's really easy. The hardest part of this recipe is chopping everything up, but it's really easy to remember because it's 6 cups of vegetable broth to 6 cups of potatoes. And you can use any potatoes that you want. I like to use Yukon Gold because they're a little bit more creamy, is usually what people describe them as. If you want to sub some sweet potatoes in for this, that's totally fine. I actually leave the skins of the potatoes on. In the recipe, it says peel. At the beginning, I did that. But since we are so used to this recipe, I'm good with the extra fiber and not doing an extra step for work. So you don't have to peel them. It's really, the skins will just be in there. If you don't like eating the skins, you can peel. So that's a little tip. And like I said, you can do it with any type of potato. You can throw in a couple of sweet potatoes if you want, or regular, doesn't matter. I usually go through and find out if you guys can see. I don't know if you guys, I have like a huge basket of potatoes that are all different types. All right, and then there is some carrot that we chopped. I have 1.5 cups of carrot that I've chopped here too. And that's like the hardest part. And the rest are spices and a little bit of tomato paste, and it's super easy. So this is starting to get a little bit hot. And then once this comes to a boil, we're gonna play a little game. And I want you guys to start thinking about it now. Start thinking about how many whole grains, different kinds of whole grains you think I have in my house currently. So you can just, it would be different types. So just start thinking in your head a number. And then when we get to it, I'm gonna ask you guys to type it in the chat. And we'll see whoever gets that number first will win one of my free cooking classes in February. We'll come to it. So I have 2 dates in February for a cooking class that you can come to. All right, once that's sauteed, you just hit cancel on your Instant Pot. And this is like literally super easy. I'm just gonna pour in my vegetable stock. That was 6 cups. I'm gonna put in my potatoes with the skins on because, you know, extra fiber, and this is our gut health series. I also have some red lentils that I've soaked. It's 1 cup, but once it soaks up the water, it kind of comes out to be 2 cups after you soak them. But 1 cup of red lentils that you've soaked in some water. And usually I do this before I start chopping, and it takes really no time at all. If you want to use a different lentil, you can, but I really like red lentils in stews because, again, it kind of breaks apart where you can't really see that it's a lentil. It helps thicken everything. So this is probably one of the reasons this is more of a stew than a soup. I'll change the name of it when I email you guys out, but it's really delicious with and I really love all of the reds here from the carrots and the red lentils. Some carrots.
Brittany, how long does the soaking take? Sean wants to know.
I'd say like 20 minutes. You know, while you're doing the rest of everything else, you can let it soak. I just fill it up with the water, and then I do that the first thing when I start this recipe. And by the time I'm ready to do everything else, it's ready to go. So I just give that a stir, and I'll tilt the camera so you guys can see what it looks like. Once everything's in there, we're just gonna add in a little bit of smoked paprika. This is optional. I always kind of state this at our cooking classes, and anytime I do anything with recipes, like this is how we like it. If you make it this way and you want to change something, definitely do that because you're the one at home eating it. If you want to add some red pepper flakes or make this a little bit spicy, you can do that as well. But I like a little bit of smoked paprika in this. And then I'm also going to add in a little bit of nutritional yeast. If you hate nutritional yeast, you can leave this out. Totally optional. And then I'm going to add in some tomato paste. And then I do have some white miso for our salt substitute, but I'm gonna leave that out to the end. I was putting it in, at the beginning of the recipe, but then someone made a comment in one of our videos talking about the probiotics kind of killing them off when you cook it. So it doesn't really make a difference in the taste. So I just wait till the end to do that, just in case, I want to keep everything that I can for that recipe. So it doesn't really matter to me if I put it in at the end and stir it in while it's warm rather than cooking it while it's hot. A little bit of tomato paste, and I can find no salt added tomato paste in my area. It's really easy. I like to get this one that's in a glass jar, and then I keep the glass jar for when we go camping, and I take homemade ketchup, or I take barbecue sauce we make in these little jars to kind of reuse them. All right, I'm gonna give that one more stir. I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like, and we're gonna put on the lid, and it's done. Super easy. This is like the fastest dinner that you can have. It makes a nice large amount. And then also, it keeps for a good amount of time. So you can see. And then I'll show you guys when it's done, how thick it gets and everything. So I'm gonna put my lid on and set your Instant Pot to sealing. Another tip that I found, I bought like some gadget that I think Chef AJ recommended it a long time ago, one of her videos, but it was like to redirect the steam because I have very short cabinets in our kitchen. But what's the easiest thing to do for an Instant Pot? And I wish I would have done this before I spent the money on Amazon, is you can just take a kitchen towel and put it over top of it, and then it won't steam out. It'll just steam into the towel, which is like, why didn't I think of that earlier? Super easy. So you're just gonna press manual, pressure cook, pressure level manual. It can be at high pressure, and it's 15 minutes. And we're just gonna let it do its thing. After the 15 minutes are released, we're gonna quick release it. You don't have to let it manually release, and it's done. So, the longest part is like waiting for it to come up to pressure, but it's pretty quick. Okay, while we are waiting, we're gonna play a little game.
Do you want to take a question about it?
Yeah.
The question is, let me see here. If you double the recipe, do you double all the spices?
Correct.
Also, can you double the recipe in an 8-quart pot?
It's already, I wouldn't probably double it. It's already pretty full in the 8-quart. Maybe you could like half it and do like one a little bit, 1 1/4 of this recipe. It makes a decent amount. So maybe just try it as the amount it's given and see. It'll last a long time. It's pretty generous with the amount it creates.
And do you have to soak the red lentils?
You don't have to. I do think it just helps with, whenever you soak beans or soak lentils, it kind of helps get some of that phytic acid off of it, and like helps you digest it a little bit easier. So I just do it while I'm doing everything else because I'm already in here. So you don't have to. You can just add it in.
And I believe you said it does freeze well, right, Brittany?
It freezes really well.
Yeah.
And play around with this recipe. Like I said, you could do sweet potatoes in it. You can put in like multicolored carrots. Like Trader Joe's often sells multicolored carrots that we'll get. And one of the big things about gut health is, we were talking about this when people were logging in, is diversity and having different plant-based foods from the categories, but having a variety of it. So one way that I get in variety is eating different kinds of beans and different kinds of whole grains and vegetables and fruits every week, and different times of the day. So one day I'll make one grain, the next day I'll make something else. Okay. And I wanted to share with you guys how many different types of grains that I currently have. So I went through and picked them all up. So the winner, the first person who guesses the number correctly, and you'll have to do this in the chat, will win. You'll get to pick, I have 2 dates in February. There's a Thursday class. Oh, they're already going.
No, they're not wasting time.
Okay, hold on. I can't see everyone. So hold on. So or we'll go back through them. I have 2 dates in February. One's a Thursday class and one's a Saturday class. And I can email you guys. And then if you can't make it, you get the recording and the recipes. Okay, so let me see real quick. Let me scroll up. Okay, I see one person got it. Let me see if someone got it before them. You guys were quick. All right, one person got it before them. One person got it before them. All right, BC, whoever is BC in here, I recognize that email address.
That's
All right.
me, BC says.
You won. Okay, so I'm pretty sure you've taken a class with me before. So email me if you have my email address because you won the free class. So it was 12. And I was gonna count them with you guys. I know some of you guys have like 17, and I went through and just found the ones I have currently. I mean, 12 is a lot already. So I have Spelt Flakes, right? So Spelt, which is an awesome replacement for like oatmeal, and they kind of make it where it's nice and flat. I actually can move closer to the camera so you guys can see this. I put it in all, I should have picked up the big bag. I put everything in here. All right, so I have some Spelt Flakes, which I generally will eat like oatmeal, or I'll make like Marsha, and a couple people were talking about the cookies. You can make these with these. It's just a different variety of kind of a similar to old-fashioned oats. Okay, and I kept oats. I have 3 different types of oats, but I kept them all. That was all part of the 12 we decided before this video to do. But I also have still cut oats. Okay, and then I have oat groats, which are the whole oat. So those of you guys that haven't seen oat groats before, it's the whole form of oats. So it goes from this stage, then they cut them, and it makes old-fashioned, or it makes steel cut oats, and then they cut them again and flatten them and makes old-fashioned oats. So this is the wholest form. And for those of you guys that are trying to lose weight or eat, whole foods, this would be, old-fashioned oats are great, but this is kind of the king of the oat world. And they take a while to cook.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you wanted to explain, 2 questions here is how do you cook them, and then where do you get them?
So anything that you see in a container like this, I get from our co-op because I went to the bulk section. You can get them on Amazon. My bulk section was extremely cheaper than Amazon though. So if you live in Pittsburgh, the East End co-op has organic oat groats for very cheap. And I just go and fill this guy up whenever I do, but they do have them on Amazon. And this one's from Steel Cut Oats are from Whole Foods, kind of a variety of places I grocery shop. I also have some wheat berries, which again is from the co-op when you see the container. So those are wheat berries. Bulgur Wheat is a little bit different. It's a little bit smaller. If you need something that cooks up really fast, Bulgur Wheat is like a couple minutes. It's very, very quick. And this is really great for sloppy joes or just a variety of, it's a little bit smaller. We kind of use it for that kind of stuff, but it's one that my husband actually really likes. And I'm always trying to switch it up because he is such a big rice fan. He would eat rice every day for every meal. And since Dr. Greger came out with the studies on arsenic in rice, I try to avoid it or having it very minimal. Even if I soak it and everything, that's just our personal. I also try to have varieties. So Bulgur Wheat is one of the ones that he likes. And for me, I love it because it cooks up really fast. So it doesn't take like 40 minutes or anything like some of the other ones do. I do have some whole wheat couscous, which we actually haven't, I just found this at the co-op. I haven't quite made this up yet. That's kind of like a pasta. I have red quinoa, right? The ones that, the more coloring they are, the better. So, compared to white quinoa, I try to always get red. I always feel like if I'm gonna I really care and I'm really healthy, like might as well just go over the top. That's why I always buy like red onions instead of white. And the more color, if you can eat, like if you can find black lentils, those are really great compared to brown, just a little bit better, right? And then I have some buckwheat, which is really good and a different texture. And I actually have I have a chocolate bark that I need to make a video for that uses buckwheat, because it kind of reminds you of Rice Krispie kind of puffs in it. So there's lots you can do with buckwheat. Another favorite of ours is farro. And I get this at our local Giant Eagle if you're from Pittsburgh, or it's a regular grocery store. It's usually in the green section. You can tell we really like it. There's only like a little bit left. Farro is a little bit chewier. I have kamut, which is another kind of wheat brand, but it kind of looks like rice. I see in the chat about oat groats. Yeah, if you make them in the Instant Pot, and I have a video on how to cook your oat groats in the Instant Pot. It takes around like 2 to 3 hours to do it that way. Generally, I'll do it in the morning and then have it for dinner. It kind of comes out like rice, so it's a really great recipe to kind of substitute that. And we actually eat that a ton like rice. And I actually have some in our fridge that I made 2 days ago. And if you cook under your stovetop, it comes out more like porridge. So there's a couple different tweaks you can do for that. We do have some brown rice. Okay, I also have black rice I saw before this. I have teff. Have anyone heard of teff before? It's an Ethiopian grain.
I love teff. I have it for breakfast and I alternate with oat groats just to give myself something different, and it really fills me up.
Yeah, teff's great. It's like really tiny, like little tiny grains. It's really small. It's really interesting whenever you cook it, and there's a lot of different things you can do with it. Porridge, even looking at the back of this, there's like a porridge recipe. So teff, and I found this just at my local grocery store too, in that grain section. Usually it's kind of in the international grains that they have. The Bob's Red Bell has a great selection of those. And then I have 2 more. I have sorghum, which Dr. Greger just put out some new videos on this about how good it is for your gut. Has anyone tried this one? It's a little bit more pearled. Okay, that's a good one to try out. And I actually can find this at my local grocery store too.
I love it. Dr. Greger has a recipe with it in his new cookbook. It was delicious.
Yeah, so there's so much different, so many different types. Oh my gosh, right? And then the last one I have is barley, which if you guys saw, we did a video from Greger's book about doing the brole, which is like 4 different grains or 3 different grains in a lentil, but this was part of it. There's some barley. So really there's like endless, look at my thing. There's endless amounts of possibilities.
Lanny just asked about free cut. Brittany and I were talking about that before.
I have it. It's just I couldn't find it when I was getting everything together. It's somewhere in my house.
Yes. Amaranth. Yeah, that was Shirley Ann said. It's another one.
Yeah, so there's lots of different things. And one of the ways that I think I personally try to make plant-based really fun and like never boring is that I'm always at the grocery store looking for stuff I've never tried before, because that makes it kind of interesting. I'm a lover of grocery shopping. I could grocery shop for like my whole Saturday and be totally fine. I could go to lots of different grocery stores, and that, that's my little heaven. But I'm always looking at like, oh, what what's the different whole grains, or what's the beans if I've never tried this certain bean. And so that really makes it fun. And like Joni said earlier about trying a new recipe out every week, trying just something simple, like, maybe there's a vegetable you never heard before. I was never a big fan, or I've never really tried bok choy before being plant-based. And it's like one of my top favorite bok choys. Now I'm always, we could do a whole like refrigerator tour, but let me see if I can find, I always go to the co-op and I find like, you know, can I find the biggest head of baby bok choy, right?
Good, that's good.
And, you know, all the different foods in the plant-based world have different nutrients and everything. So having variety is so nice. Like that guy is full of calcium, right? I have black rice before. I've tried that. And I have millet. Oh, did I not put millet in here? All right, well, I'm still gonna give it to the person who said 12, but I thought I grabbed millet. I have millet right here. I must have not. See, it really was 13. Sometimes I have extra, you know, we have a ton. So I would like to know in the chat, what's your favorite whole grain? So in the chat, if you guys could type it out. I think my favorite whole grain is farro. I'm gonna go with farro. I think second, I would lately we've been really into Bulgur Wheat, so that's probably a close second. Yeah, look at all those different answers. And so I do the same thing with every category. So if it's whole grains, you know, then I do different beans. You know, I make sure that I don't get in a rut of just having black beans for every meal. You know, I change it up. And the same thing with vegetables. And eating seasonal is so great as well. So I try to eat, you know, whatever's in season and always changing it up. So I think that makes it a little bit more realistic for, it doesn't have to be so overwhelming thinking about diversity of your foods. You don't have to buy 13 different kinds of whole grains like me, but having a few different ones that you switch out is really an awesome find. And if you haven't tried oat groats for your brown rice substitute, if you want to change that up, check out our YouTube channel and just type in oat groats and watch how I make it in the Instant Pot. And it's really an awesome rice substitute. It fluffs up just like rice. And so I think that's probably one of the closest out of these that has that same consistency as rice. Yeah, and Marcia, I pretty much have traded out oat groats for rice a lot of the times when we're making it, just because of the arsenic.
And Dr. Greger mentioned it about arsenic. Try to look at the source of the rice. Just try to get rice from Asia or California, as opposed to southern United States.
Do they have more rice or more arsenic in the water there?
Yeah, there's more. The southern United States have higher. They don't rotate. They have tend to have higher arsenic levels. And when you cook the rice, you want to cook it like pasta.
Right.
Yeah, and then cook it with lots of water and then just drain the water from it. Put the lid on and it will fluff up that way.
All right, well, if anyone has any other questions, we can talk about a different kind. We can talk about beans or anything else. This Instant Pot, since I'm using the 8-quart, it takes a while to come up to pressure, unfortunately. It takes a little bit longer. And this recipe was pretty quick tonight.
You had everything cut up.
Yeah, I was a little prepared.
What do you do with beans? Go ahead.
I don't know how to do chat, so I have to talk. If you don't have an Instapot, how long do you cook the soup for?
You just want to let it simmer, and I would cook it until your vegetables are soft enough that you can poke it with a fork. So it'll kind of vary. I would probably say around 30 to 40 minutes. But again, once your carrots are soft and your potatoes and the red lentils have kind of you can't tell that they're red lentils anymore, that's when you know it's finished.
Okay, thank you.
Do you sprout your green or brown lentils after soaking?
I've gotten to sprouting a little bit, but I haven't done anything lately. generally when the main thing that I get at the co-op that's sprouted is broccoli sprouts, because they're, so anti-cancerous. So I try to eat those every week whenever I'm there, or I'll get, they have, luckily at Pittsburgh's co-op, they have a whole sprout section. They have like a mixed, for all of you guys in Pittsburgh, check out the sprout section next time, but they have one that's like all different kinds of beans that are sprouted, and it's really an awesome little part of the grocery store. So I'm lucky that I have that, because I generally will buy those.
Two people asked about potatoes. I have the answer to this one, but you can add to it so that potatoes don't sprout. And one thing about potatoes, if you keep them in a dark, cool location. So my potatoes, I put them in a big brown bag and put them brown bag in a box in my pantry, and it keeps longer that way.
Someone asked about a chili recipe. I do have a chili recipe on our channel. If you just type it in Jaroudi and chili, it should come up. Yeah, I feel very lucky to have the Pittsburgh Co-op. It's pretty much the main source. I think I kind of joke that I go a little too often that like all of the people there know who I am. It's a little embarrassing how often I show my face. So I had to explain to the cash register like what I do. So she's like, why are you always buying all these vegetables? So like I had like an old business card with our channel on it. So I like gave it to her.
What was the name of your channel again, or what your site?
I'll put it in the,
yeah.
oh, okay, I was gonna
no,
say.
go ahead. You can do it, Sally.
Put it in chat, but also you'll get it in the email tomorrow.
Oh,
It's the Jaroudi Family, and Jaroudi's Jaroudi. But we'll make sure it's sent out.
thank you.
Brittany, I would like more recipes about combining rice and beans, or not rice, grain and beans. Just
Okay. Yeah, so so Sally, I don't know if you want to plug my class on Monday. If you want to talk about that, if anyone's free on Monday night. But I just got done teaching a class yesterday with PBNSG, and it was 3 different grain bowls. We did a teriyaki grain bowl, I did a taco bowl, and then we also did a shepherd's pie, and it was all kind of combination of beans and how to build a bowl with different sauces, like really easy dinner bowls. And so I'm going to do the same class on Monday coming up.
Okay, so this will go in your email. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I wasn't sure what you were making, but there's a local group, a conservation group on Reimagine the Turtle Creek Air and Watershed. And Brittany has already recorded a podcast interview that I interviewed her, and she's going to do on Monday a cooking demo at 6:30. So I'll send all that out so that you can watch her again.
Yeah, and PBNSG they only sent the recordings and the recipes to people that signed up in advance. So if you want, this is like going to be your second chance to see kind of it again. So I'm going to do,
and it's going to be free. Okay.
Class.
Yes.
I might not make all 3 recipes, but you'll get them in an email, even if we don't do it live. I was kind of cutting it pretty close last night. But building little like grain bowls, that's generally how I eat, how I personally eat, especially when life gets busy, is that I cook up a lot of the grains and use canned beans or beans that we make from scratch. And then I just kind of assemble, and you can flavor it. Generally I'll always be like, oh, what are you in the mood for, to my husband, and it kind of depends on, that. But doing tacos or Asian inspired and switching it up is like so easy just to kind of assemble. And I just kind of follow exactly what Dr. Greger talks about in his daily dozen. So I always make sure there's like a whole grain of bean, vegetables, starch, stuff like that. Yes, Ronnie, if you signed up for the Zoom, you will get all of the information tomorrow with this recording. And I'm sorry, I thought that the pressure cooker would be a little bit quicker, but it's not even counting down. So I don't know if you guys will get to see it at the end of it tonight, but I do have a YouTube video that will show you the finished product. And I'll take a picture of it when it finishes and put it in the email for tomorrow as well. But when you use the big pressure cooker, it takes a little bit longer for it to come up. Oh, it just beeped. So I don't know if we want to hang out. We can still hang out for 15 minutes, then I can show it if anyone has questions.
If somebody here, Becky wants to know, what do you do with millet? Things you,
Kind of the same kind of idea with those grain bowls. Millet kind of comes out a little bit similar to, it's a little bit smaller of a grain. So I've done millet in like a breakfast porridge. I've done it with as a dinner replacement. I've put it in salad and let it cool. You can do lots of things with it. Millet's a little easy to cook up as well. I think that one doesn't take as long as a half an hour. So. Millet in a bread machine, Susan said. That's great. It was 30 minutes on the stovetop. On your Instant Pot would be a lot less. Since there's only 2 of us, generally I cook a lot of the grains just on the stovetop, and then I just cook up like a normal serving size amount, and then just have a variety of different ones.
Sarah, you'll get the recipe tomorrow. The written recipe.
Yes, I have 14 minutes left on my large Instant Pot. It's cooking. Do you mean cooked grains? Do they freeze well, Jackie? Yeah, I mean, I most of the cooked grains probably could freeze well. I've frozen oat groats before. I've made too many at one point, and I've frozen them, and they came back totally fine.
I freeze just about everything.
Yeah.
and yeah,
You label it too, so you know what you got?
I do.
Ronnie, that question is going to depend on how tall and if you're male or female and if you're pregnant. And so it depends what's a serving size to you depends on all of those factors. I kind of always tell people that I'm so short, I'm 4'11", and so my husband's going to eat more whole grains than I am. And I kind of stick to Gregor's serving size, which is half a cup cooked, or 1/4 of a cup uncooked. Like if I make steel cut oats, I use 1/4 of a cup before I make it. That's generally how I do it, but that's gonna vary depending on who you are. It's always hard when people ask me like, what do I eat specifically? I'm like, oh, well, it could be different for you.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one about Chef AJ heating up the liquid.
Yeah, and you could put hot, I probably should have done that. You could put hot water in it and it would be a little bit quicker.
Could you heat up your broth?
I didn't, I just put it in. Sorry,
Well,
guys.
yeah, that, but I mean, you could.
Yeah, you could, definitely. I haven't used my 8-quart in a really long time. This is the first time. I've been using my 3-quart, which is right behind it, really often because that's just a little bit easier. So this guy had to come out of, I had it in storage. I haven't used it as much. I thought I was going to use it a lot more. I mainly got this to make yogurt, which, I do sometimes, but not every week.
Karen wants to know why you became plant-based.
Well, we could kill 11 minutes with that.
Well, Sally, you could share your story about how you got cancer and recovered with a plant-based diet.
Yes. We'll start with Brittany. She's then we can move on as we go down the 11 minutes here.
Yeah, so I and I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard this story that have been following me, but I got married when I was 23, like a couple of days right before my birthday of turning 24. And during that time, soon after I got married, my husband had for his health insurance, you got a discount if you went and got your blood taken. And it was this really extensive blood test. It had stuff on there I never heard of. I never knew what a C-reactive protein test was prior. My doctor didn't do that. And so when I got the test results back from that test, I think it was in November after we were married, it was awful. So it came up with lots of things in red. My C-reactive protein, which is a level of inflammation, it's kind of the indicator for heart disease possibly and cancer, was a 16. And normal was under 3. So that got my attention. I started like Googling, what does C-reactive protein means? And it tells you about, do you have an infection and all this different things. And so there was some level of inflammation in my body. And so I Googled, like, how do you get rid of your C-reactive protein lowered? And the only thing that I could find was a Mediterranean diet. So I ate so much salmon. It was bad. I had salmon like for dinner, like multiple times a week. I tried to do Mediterranean and nothing budged. My number came back the same. I went and got my blood test taken. It was back the same. And at the same time, I was having high blood pressure, where my doctor put me on 2 different blood pressure medication, and my cholesterol was 242. And so this was all around the time I was like 24, 25. And so I was fed up. I was so young. I had an uncle who was it kind of all came together. I had an uncle who was young, who was in the hospital for cardiac problems. I had an aunt who was in the hospital for a different issue. Everyone was super young. And then I also had my parents, which, suffered with cancer and heart disease. And so I just thought, like, oh my gosh, I'm headed down this exact same path. And so the day before Easter, we were flipping through Netflix and I saw Forks Over Knives. And so we put it on and everything clicked. The producer in that movie, gets his blood pressure checked, he gets his high cholesterol checked, and he gets his C-reactive protein level checked. And his C-reactive protein level was so much better than mine. I was so angry that I was 25 and my numbers were like double his. But through him doing a whole food plant-based lifestyle, he got his numbers into normal. So I just thought, like, well, if he can do it, like, why wouldn't it work for me? So the next day I showed up to Easter and I told my family, like, I can't eat ham. I don't know what I could eat, but I can't eat, I'm eating this way that doesn't include most of the things on the table. And I've been doing it ever since. I was able to lose 80 pounds. I was able to get off blood pressure medication. My cholesterol is excellent now. My C-reactive protein dropped. A lot of people ask me how quickly it took to drop. Mine took a little bit of time. The first year of being whole food plant-based, mine dropped to an 8, which is still above a 3, which is still high. I was very frustrated at it, but it still gave me hope that at least it cut in half. And then, doing it again, it dropped and it dropped and it dropped. And then it finally came into being into like the low normal range. So I always tell people that, if your cholesterol or if your blood pressure or if anything doesn't drop within a month, or 2 months or 6 months, and you just see it improve, don't give up, that it's still, it takes some time. I told myself back then that it took me a long time to get to the point where my numbers were so awful that don't expect it to happen in a blink of an eye. Some people have really awesome results where it's really dramatic right away, but not everyone does. And I just was a person that had to be patient and keep with it. And then I kind of reap the benefits now since doing it for a while. My cholesterol prior was 242. So it was pretty high. It was right at the point where they were starting to talk about putting me on a statin. And now my cholesterol is under 150. So, I mean, and same with my blood pressure. My blood pressure was around 150 over 110, sometimes over 90. It kind of varied in that range. And now my blood pressure is, I think I took it I take it every now and again just to double check it, but I think it was like 115 115 over 90 or something. I don't know. I have to, but it's amazing how much even my resting heart rate has improved so much. My resting heart rate prior was 90, and now my resting heart rate is in the 50s. So even having like a Fitbit, I'm able to like, you know, tell how much of a difference. So I mean, that's kind of me. I started it. My husband went in with me after around 6 months of me doing it. He finally gave up cheese pizza. That was his like last kind of hold on him, and eating his mom's food, which was, you know, when he went over for holidays and stuff, and then he gave that up. And he's also had some pretty good results with being plant-based. He had seasonal allergies really bad every year since he was little, and he doesn't have seasonal allergies anymore. He always maintained a healthy weight and had normal readings. His cholesterol was 190 before being plant-based, and then it dropped. I think his cholesterol now is like 123 last time he had it checked. So even though his weight he's always been the same weight since we have got together, since we were like 15 and 16. You know, he still saw health improvements by being plant-based. So that killed a lot of time. We only have 4 minutes left before I can let this open. But I always tell people to stick with it, because I think a lot of people get discouraged. Like if it's slow for you, if your numbers aren't where you want them, just stick with it and it will happen. My blood pressure got better, but it didn't get like awesome until a while. It had to, you know, it took a little while to for it all to come down. CJ asked, how often do I exercise? I try to have some kind of movement every day. I'm definitely more active whenever the weather gets nice, but we do a lot of hiking and outside stuff, but I try to move every day. I have a walking treadmill like Dr. Gregor that I work on and type. And I also just got, I have a spin bike, and I just got a table for the spin bike. So a lot of times if you guys are in my Facebook group, I'm like responding to you guys on my spin bike. Now I have a table for it. So I try to move, especially during the winter. My brother is doing whole food plant-based. I don't know how well. I flew out to see him. He lives in Las Vegas. And so I flew out in July to see him, and to kind of, he just bought a house and was getting situated. And I took him all of the plant-based books. I Amazoned him all of them. And we went through and I taught him all of my tips and tricks. We got him an Instant Pot. We got him everything set up. And I ask him every now and again, like, oh, how are you doing? But I'm not sure. He still, he found like vegan restaurants to eat out at and stuff in Vegas. So, you know, unfortunately, you can't force anyone specifically to follow the plan 100%. But I think I'm hopefully being a good inspiration to him. He also had some hypertension issues that, you know, he's younger than me. So I'm kind of on him to fix it now.
I just want to mention, I don't know how many minutes we have left, but this is our 3 month, the first month of our 3-month series for Plant-Based Pittsburgh. And this month is gut health. And next month we have a physician who's going to talk about, she's an endocrinologist, and she's going to talk about obesity and metabolism. And we'll have a cooking demo, salt, oil, sugar-free cooking demo. And then March, the theme will be changing habits and mindfulness, and how to change and sustain habits.
All right, this has 1 more minute.
1 more minute, okay.
Hey.
We made it.
So I just made it. So you don't have to let this naturally release. You can release it right away. So as soon as it beeps, I'll release it. Thank you, Karen.
Yeah, thank you, Karen. Yeah. We're here. Glad you're joining us.
Pre-COVID, we were starting to grow pretty large. We were getting ready to do our first plant-based conference right before COVID started. We did a plant-based dinner in person and everything. So we're really happy that we could keep these classes going and that we can offer them, you know, no matter where you're off. All right, so this is, let me release this. Yeah,
I agree, Ronnie.
the towel trick, I wish I would have known before. I have some gadget. Oh yeah, I have some gadgets I never use. Like this never. Chef AJ had it in one of her videos to direct the steam, but it sits in my drawer now. Unfortunately.
One of those things you had to have, but sits in the drawer.
It was after I saw somebody put a towel on it. I was just like, why did I think of that? Like so simple. Yeah, Susan, the red lentils do get really soft. If you can definitely make this with brown lentils or black lentils or even green. They'll just hold their shape a little bit more. This helps thicken it, so it does come out more like a stew than a soup. It's a thick soup, but you can definitely make it thinner by using a different lentil. And then Instant Pots too. When I first got the Instant Pot, I was really nervous to use it. I was very intimidated. I thought, oh my gosh, it's gonna like blow up in my face. But they do a great job of making it pretty safe. And you know, I think doing a couple recipes, getting familiar with it, there are some really great things you can do with it. And now they have all the different gadgets too, like different attachments. You can make it an air fryer. They have lots of stuff. So Karen asked what I'm going to pair this soup with, and you can make a whole grain to kind of put this over top if you want. That would be more filling. Generally with this, we eat this kind of just as a main meal, and then we do have like a salad or something like that with it. But this generally we don't usually pair it with a grain. It's pretty filling on its own. So generally I eat salad all the time. I have a huge salad chopping bowl that we have. All right, sounds like it's almost finished. And there's so many different great sizes. We actually take our 3-quart, the smallest one, camping with us. So I camp with our Instant Pot, and it's really great. I had the 6-quart before. I gave that away to a friend. So now I have the 3 and the 8, but there are so many different variations of sizes that you guys can try out. And Sally even got one from a thrift store. So you never know where you can find them.
Does it work okay?
Yes. Yes, actually, it was Brittany's text that alerted me.
I was thrift shopping and I saw this beautiful Instant Pot, and we have a couple of the ladies from Plant-Based Pittsburgh. We have a group text. And so I took a picture and it was like, does anyone need an Instant Pot? Because I already have. I should pretty much be banned from buying appliances now. Not allowed to. This kitchen is too tiny. I have stuff everywhere. So
My house is small. Ugh.
yeah, I have a Yonana's machine that I use that in the summertime, but you know, probably could have went without it. You know, a couple of different appliances that I was looking at the Nutrimilk like food processor, but I keep telling myself, no, you don't need it. All right, well, this is coming down. I can hear it. Just want to let it fully release before you open it.
This is the disadvantage of Zoom because we all I certainly want to taste it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you guys were all in Plant-Based Pittsburgh, we did, like when we did the classes in person, we always had big spreads of food to taste as we go, unfortunately.
Yeah, there is a big, huge group there. You know, Kristen Bummer and everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's everything that we hear, oh, it's Pittsburgh. I'm like, oh. And
it's really grown. Sally started, how many years have you been doing the Plant-Based Pittsburgh group?
7 years. We started with 12 people
That's
on my
great.
email list. Now I have 1,600, so it's
Wow.
Whoa.
Wow, that's great. That's great.
great, yeah.
I know no
So
one.
you can sign up for the newsletter also. I do a newsletter. We'll just
And then
And
if
you
you guys
guys
want
have
to
the
start, if you want to start your own group too, there, Sally's a great resource to start your own little pod. I know right now it would be all virtual, but you know, if there's ways of getting your community to get a little bit more interest, and we've helped a couple different groups kind of start something in their community.
yeah, and I'm on this advisory committee, so you can email me. I just put in the chat, but you'll get my email, so never mind. So if you are interested, I'll be glad to give the information and even talk to you.
I tried to connect with a Bozeman group because there's nothing in Great Falls, and they never responded. I couldn't get into their group.
Mm.
So,
Yeah,
I
there's
thought-
nothing down here either.
but I thought maybe in the summertime I could go down to Bozeman and join in, but they have not responded at all. So, but I have not seen anybody in the Great Falls area. There was, I was cleaning up the cemetery, our local cemetery last summer, and a lady came and we started talking, and she has MS. Well, that's an autoimmune disease. And I talked to her about a whole food diet. She hadn't heard of that. And she said, well, you always meet somebody when you need to. Well, so I said, you don't eat meat, dairy, and oil. And I gave her a couple books. I had a Neil Bernard book and somebody else's book. I think it was Dean Ornish. I'm not sure who exactly right now, but I gave her both these books. She devoured them. She brought them back to me. And I said, you could have kept them, but there's recipes in there that she could start with. And we've been chit-chatting on my husband's phone. And she did not realize she could not have oil. And I said, oh, you don't want to have oil. Don't want to have oil. That's bad for the MS, just bad, kind of in that cheese family. So anyway, she's getting better. She, there was some summit that I was on. I sent her the thing where this lady had MS, and she had gotten eating plant-based. She had gotten so that now she can do marathons. And I thought, I sent that to her, and I thought maybe she would help her, give her some
Tips.
Another really good thing to send her would be the documentary Blue Zones. Or not Blue Zones, I'm sorry, Code Blue. I'll message it to you on Facebook. But Code Blue is a documentary all about a plant-based doctor who reversed her MS. And it's really amazing. She just came out with a book too to go along with it. So I can send you that.
Well, I just thought it was amazing that this lady could, and I thought this would give this other lady some inspiration to help her. But now with winter, it's just hard to connect.
Yeah.
We live up in the mountains and she lives in town. So, but there's one other person I know that's going plant-based.
All right, well, this guy's done. So you guys can see.
Looks
Let me
good.
see if I can. But it comes out nice and thick. And you can also, if you want some of this not to be like pieces of the potato, you can put it in your blender and blend and then add a little bit back in if you want it to be even thicker. But we actually just eat it just like how it is in there.
It's almost like
This, yeah, it thickens, and then it thickens up too. If you put it in the refrigerator and pour it, it'll thicken up a little bit too. So it's definitely like a stew.
I came late, Brittany. Are you going to post the recipe?
You're gonna get it with the recording.
Okay.
You'll get it tomorrow.
Okay, good. Thank you.
And Karen asked about salt. What I'll do is I'll just take some white miso and stir it in once it's like, maybe not when it's boiling hot, but when it's like warm, and then it'll dissolve in. And I use white miso because Dr. Greger talks about it being okay for hypertension and heart disease. So I get mine off of Amazon. And I'll just put a little bit in, and you can do this to taste. The longer you've been away from salt, the more sensitive you are to it. So it depends on how much if you still use salt or if you don't. but this is the one that we use. And other than that, I don't use any salt at all. Because again, I'm so happy that I don't have hypertension problems and I don't want them back.
Me too.
So I just, I do without it. But that's a salt substitute. It really is, you know, so whatever you use, but you can pepper it and flavor it and season it how you'd like. Yeah, you
How
can
many-
use whichever miso.
How many, or how, teaspoon, tablespoon, how much miso would you use for that size recipe?
I put it in here. I use 2 tablespoons because it's quite a big amount of soup.
Mhm.
So I use a little bit more, but you could start, I always tell people to start slow and then you can taste it and add more. So it'll just depend. But if you want to start with I would say you could start with a tablespoon and then see if you need any more or if it's good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that this worked out. I'm glad we got to see it. Sorry about the little lag in the presentation, but the Instant Pot, I was going to make it on the stovetop, but I thought it would be good for you guys to see an Instant Pot recipe. We haven't done one of those in a while. And it's so easy to make on the stovetop too. You're pretty much just waiting till the vegetables get soft and the red lentils cook for it to have. But I will, you guys will get the recipe with the recording that Sally sends out tomorrow. I'm going to email it over to her tonight. So you guys will have it.
Sounds good.
That was great, Brittany.
Thank you. It was.
Appreciate it.
No problem. And your gut will be very happy that you made this. And then, you know, I hope you guys got some inspiration to try out different grains. It's really an awesome thing to switch up what you're having every day.
I'll try the oat groats. I used to actually, my parakeets used to eat oat groats. That's
oh,
how
really?
yeah.
Yeah, they're great. We love them. I actually have some. I can show you guys what they look like cooked up. I see, like, I do cook up them in the Instant Pot and then keep them, but that's what they look like when they're all done.
Oh, cool.
And then, you know, I'll just take out half a cup of this and have it for oatmeal, and I put berries in it and flax and whatever I have in my oatmeal, and reheat it. Or you could eat it like rice, or you could eat it with chili. There's like so many different, I mean, they're all very versatile to have.
You can make it sweet or savory.
Yeah, I mean, and I change it up. If I have oat groats for breakfast, I'll pick a different whole grain for dinner. And if I have yogurt or something else that I'm making, if I make our plant-based yogurt or something else, then I'll have, you know, I can have them for dinner. So I try to kind of have variety all throughout the day as well. But it's really easy when you just have everything cooked up and ready to go in your refrigerator. So you don't, you know, you're not hungry and grabbing for stuff that you don't want to be.
That's a good idea.
I got a quick question. Somebody asked me where I got my omega-3 from. And I said, well, I always put chia seeds in my oatmeal or whatever I'm having, a grain.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any other omega-3?
So I also take an omega-3 supplement. I make sure I have flax seeds or chia seeds every day. And then you can also make sure you eat walnuts. But I can grab mine. I also take an omega-3 supplement just to kind of, you know, it's a good idea. So you can get it off of Amazon. This is an algae-based one that I found and like.
I have one too.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a good idea to do that as well.
Okay.
But I eat flax meal every day on my oatmeal as well.
Mm-hmm.
And if BC is still here, make sure you email me about that free February class, since you got the number of grains right.
So Brittany, for your flaxseed, do you buy it in the seed form and then grind it yourself?
So I've done that. I've also just bought it mealed. Gregor came out with some research that said that the meal flaxseed was fine. I know that there's a couple people that say you should grind it right away so it's fresh. So, you know, looking at his research and stuff, sometimes I just grab it meal. Let me see. I just keep it in the refrigerator or the freezer so it doesn't go spoil. But like right now I'm going through stuff that's already ground.
Oh, okay.
And this
Thank
is just from Trader Joe's. But you could
Yep.
do whatever you feel comfortable with. I find that pulling out like my grinder every day is a little bit of a hassle.
Daunting.
So yeah, and then it's like another thing to clean and get ready and stuff. So I mean, I find that it's really easy just to put a tablespoon of this on stuff when I have it kind of in arm's reach. Yeah, if anyone has any other questions, I'm here to hang around. And other than that, I think everything else is ready to wrap up. So I'll stop the recording now and make
Thank
sure it
you.
gets out to you. You're welcome.